think I'm also using it as a kind of vent. I don't know, I'm kind of like in a pissed off mood right now. If you've been texting me, you know all about it. But, actually you really don't know about it. I'm kind of obfuscating it, so, you know, but I'm being pretty honest about what I want to do. Kind of, well, depends on who you are. But anyway, back to me. Yeah, so I haven't made one of these videos in quite a while. A couple months ago, a friend said to me, "Dude, I used to get so high and watch your videos." And that just made me laugh. And it kind of made me want to do it again. Because, you know, even though I'm not a big fan of marijuana, mostly because it makes me too hungry, you know, it was nice to have that kind of feedback, you know. And then, like, even the negative feedback was kind of, like, fun. Because it's just like, ha ha ha, you don't really have anything to say other than just, oh, look at that faux British accent. It's like, yeah, it's fake. Anyway, so, moving on. I don't know, I feel kind of shitty today. You're probably wondering why I'm, like, covering this, well, not covering, well, I guess you could say covering. On the inside I'm covering the blanket. But, right now the blanket's covering me. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, so I'm wearing a blanket because I'm rather cold. In case you didn't know, there's like still an inch of snow outside. And it stopped snowing a couple hours ago, or so, I think. So, shows what I know. But, yeah, the weather. I always tend to think you can kind of measure the point, or at least prosperity, or relevance of a conversation by whether or not the weather is mentioned. I always feel as though if the weather is mentioned, that's kind of like another way of saying that these two people really have nothing to talk about, and they're actually quite dull and boring and really shouldn't be talking in the first place. Or they're just hiding and trying not to talk about what they really want to talk about. But, back to the weather. So, I mean, weather's kind of interesting to me. Like, to discuss the weather. I still feel mostly no. I feel that we should try to strive towards bigger things than, oh, there's a cloud outside. I can't see the sun. Oh, what a shame. Because it's quite irrelevant to us. I mean, we have cars, we have shelter. We have shelter that doesn't leak most of the time. I mean, 21st century, there's bigger things than the weather. And so, I'm always kind of bothered by it, in a way. But, I've recently been re-examining my outlooks on the weather, as I said. And I kind of thought about it, and I was like, well, it kind of makes sense that some people will talk about the weather. Because, as we all know, farming heavily relies on the weather. So, it was actually kind of making me think, you know, well, what does it go, how far back how does the weather go? And it kind of made me think, what if it goes back to the Egyptian era? Well, you know, what would that be, about 3000 BC, around that area? Probably a little bit lower, but, you know, it's always worth talking about. And it just made me kind of think, well then, what if that's really what it is, you know, the weather is just, you know, is really kind of an important conversational marker, mostly due to farming and other agricultural areas. And that kind of was really interesting to me because it made me think, oh, well then maybe that's what it really is. People talking about the weather are really, in a kind of subcontext way, discussing farming. And granted, you know, oh, I love the sun, it's so great. At the same time, it's kind of like saying, oh, well, there's so much sun, that's gotta be great for plants because they're photosynthesizers. Actually, I'm not quite sure if photosynthesizers is the right plural for beings that get energy from sunlight, but I always like that term, photosynthesizers. It makes it sound like they're in some kind of an 80s pop punk band, or electro. But anyway, and that always makes me giggle inside. So, that's really all I've been thinking about recently. Well, not really, that's a total lie. But, it's something that's been jogging around in my head, and I don't know, maybe I'll make more videos like this. You'll probably hate it, but